One last thing I want to illustrate. In Pennsylvania, near Allentown, there is this, there was this wildlife preserve called the Trexler Preserve in honor of General John Trexler in 1906, who died. He had this covenant on this preserve that no hunting is allowed, okay, forevermore. This is his wildlife sanctuary. Well, when I was there in Pennsylvania, the government tells the general public, which swallowed this excuse, that the Trexler's deer population has exploded, impacting on the ecology of the preserve, and therefore must be reduced in population. And of course the bow hunters, oh, I want to do it. I want to be the savior of your ecology of this local preserve. So on the opening day, a whole bunch of bow hunters went in, and I went in with them, and together with a couple of local activists who are females, very brave ladies, because these people, you know, they have no qualm in at least giving you death threats anyway of not shooting you. And so I went in there and took a look at the Trexler Preserve. If somebody blindfolded me and carried me into there and removed my blindfold and asked me to tell them what I'm looking at, I would have thought that, you know, in my mind, a wildlife preserve would be a forested land or maybe meadows or something. It looked like a farm. So the truth of the matter is, I have found out with photo documentation, and you're welcome to go into my space.com/Anthony Marr, go into the pictures, and there are pictures that I've taken inside the Trexler Preserve, which look like farms. So basically what the authority of the preserve did was to plow down square miles of forest and planted deer clover in there to boost up the deer population, so that the hunters then will be able to say that they're going to go in there and do the community a service. There you go. Another thing is the hunters will try to deny that the deer vehicle collision rate is not due to them. I would challenge you to call up any major insurance company and ask them, when is the one day in the year with the highest number of claims? Guess which one it is?
First day of hunting.
Absolutely. And when I was driving around the Trexler Preserve looking for the entrance to go in, I saw deer jumping out of the preserve because there were hunters in there. And I could have hit one of them. So don't forget that hunting is the largest amusement industry in North America. And look at it that way. Okay, now we have about 5 to 10 minutes, and anybody with any questions, please come up. Here's a mic for you. And
I don't need a mic. I got a big voice.
no, it is supposed to be taped.
Oh,
so.
fine. Okay, I heard you the other night, and the lady that you mentioned, Jan, I'm not sure the last name. Hagginson. I believe it was said that she's now having a very difficult time financially because of the cost of everything.
Yes.
Is there a way that we can help her out?
Financially.
Yes.
She's we didn't quantify what she needed. What she needed is this. She has been fighting this case ever since the year 2000. She is a lawyer, but because of that she had to fight this case, she could not practice law regularly. So she spent the last 10 years doing nothing but fight this case on her own personal resources. I asked her how much she has already spent in this case. She says approximately $12,000 to $13,000. And so I asked her, now you have appealed this case, so are you getting restitution? She says, no, not a cent. And so I said, you know, what about justice? I mean, you know, you've spent all this money and now you've won this case, you've overturned the conviction, so where's the justice? She says, well, the justice is that there is a provision for me to pursue an aggressive case against these hunters and against these policemen and against even the court to claim damages, because she did suffer damages, not just financially, but personal liberty. You know, she's going to be dragged in court so many times, and if she didn't appeal, she would probably have ended up in jail. So it's $12,000 to $13,000 already spent of her own money, and now she's scraping the bottom bottom now, but her fight is not over. She cannot just stop here. She has to keep on going because she's a fighter. She is taking a personal affront to this hunter harassment code, which is violating the U.S. Constitution's freedom of speech First Amendment, and also the 14th Amendment, which says due process. Her arrest and her whatever is totally against due process. And also the 4th Amendment for illegal seizure. So I asked her, how much is it going to cost you to pursue this new court case of yours? And she says, well, if I win, it will be the end of that. If I do not win, I will have to appeal to the 2nd level. And if she wins, the opposition will probably appeal, so it promises to be a drawn-out process. If she wins, the opposition will appeal, and she will have to fight this again, and they may win again, and she may have to appeal again. If she does not win this case, she will appeal to the 2nd level. If she loses that, she will appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. And I asked her how long this process would take. She says at least 2 years. And I asked her how much rock bottom would you need. She says $15,000. And I said, okay, so but you're suing for damages, right? She says, yes, I'm suing for damages. I asked her, do you think that you are entitled to punitive damage? She says, I doubt that, just real damage. So she's basically trying to reclaim the $12,000, $15,000 already spent, and but then that leaves her in the future hole of $15,000 basically.
I think last night they said at the banquet that the Committee to Abolish Sport Hunting has a special, I believe, a legal, committee or legal fund that people can contribute to help.
That will help her.
Yeah.
That organization is called the Coalition to Abolish Sport Hunting, headed by Peter Muller, M-U-L-L-E-R. Yes. Good. Grab a mic.
I'm assuming that you're familiar with the campaign for Lolita.
Yes.
I've written
session. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Okay, so I've written countless, letters and everything. I'm sure thousands of other activists have. I don't see any results so far. I know it's been going on a while. Do you know enough about the campaign that you see any results happening, or because they seem pretty adamant about not letting her free?
Well, yeah. Well, she's still, rotting in jail basically,
Right.
And I think that her case is pretty well spent. I'm not sure whether you can crank up some new action on it, but you could conceivably use her as a symbol to forestall further use of other authors.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's a dead case, but it is, it's as you pointed out, it's been going on for a long time, and it's still, and she's still there. So I mean, as far as she's concerned, nothing's happening.
Right.
So
Where is
kind
that?
of like
Miami Aquarium.
it's it's really hard too when you're dealing with privately owned entities, because we deal with elephants and zoos all the time.
Right.
Is that zoos that are privately run, it's really tough to put enough pressure on them to act.
Yeah, because I mean, at the aquarium, they don't seem to care. They can get